There's some hockey tonight, folks. Welcome back to the Rinkcast. The Blackhawks are playing in a preseason game this evening in Minnesota against the Minnesota Wild. Welcome back. We got a show for you tonight. I'm Andy Campbell. I am here with Sean Fitzgerald and Eric Andrews under an alias tonight. Welcome to season 8, episode 2. We're going to be rolling tonight. We're going to be talking some things around the league as well as the Blackhawks. How we doing tonight, fellas? SP or SL? Spellacy Lover, how are you, my friend? What's up, Eric?
Not a whole lot. Just been trying to wrap my head around how being objective and patient is considered to be hateful, but, what else is new?
Yes, for those of you that follow Eric Andrews' Twitter handle, he's obviously got a lot of attention lately, a lot of negative attention. We'll touch base on that in a little bit regarding the Blackhawks prospect, but he's handling it well. Sean, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good. Excited to talk about Blackhawks hockey, the NHL in general, and bemoaning the end of baseball. So I'm wearing my Wrigley Field World Famous because there will be no baseball there for 100 and something days. So very sad about that.
Oh man, well that is too bad. Yeah, our beloved cousin. Go Tigers, by the way.
Go Tigers. I'm on the Tigers bandwagon.
2% chance to make the playoffs on August 10th.
Yep.
And now they're in it, so that's fun. Always go for the underdog story. Good stuff. Anyway, let's get into some things right away. Let's go right around the league right now. The hot item right now is out of Boston. I live 30 miles north of Boston, so this has been just quality entertainment for me. Jeremy Swayman. The Jeremy Swayman saga continues.
Swanson. I can never remember.
Samsonite. Oh.
I was way off.
So Jeremy Swayman, for those of you who do not know who Jeremy Swayman is a restricted free agent for the Boston Bruins goaltender. The Boston Bruins had 2 premier goaltenders, Linus Ullmark, Jeremy Swayman. They traded Linus Ullmark away because they couldn't afford to sign Jeremy Swayman. And now, as a restricted free agent, Jeremy Swayman and his agent, Louis Gross, are pretty much playing hardball with the Boston Bruins as far as negotiating a contract. And depending who you talk to, depending who you're listening to on Twitter, the Bruins are to blame. Swayman and his agent are to blame. Swayman's not to blame. His agent is to blame. It doesn't matter. No one really knows what's going on. It is all speculation. We're here to speculate as well. But the bottom line is yesterday, Cam Neely, president of the Bruins, Cam Neely, came out yesterday in a press conference. And when they asked him about Jeremy Swayman, he said, I have 64 million reasons why he should be playing hockey right now. Insinuating that Jeremy Swayman, who's never been a number 1 starting goaltender in the NHL, granted, he had an awesome playoff run. Well, as awesome of a playoff run as you can have when being eliminated in the second round. Let's put it that way as well. Yes, he kept his team alive, and they got by Toronto probably because of Jeremy Swayman. But now, Cam Neely's saying he's turned down $8 for $8 million. What is going on here? Eric, what is your take? What is happening in Boston? Who's to blame? When you see this, I mean, it is comedy in some sort when you think about the fact that Boston is probably going to lose 2 premier netminders in one offseason, which is unprecedented. But what is happening, and where do they go from here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it is a big mess right now. But, and like you were saying, talking about the press conference and who's to blame and everything, we don't know what's going on at this moment in the negotiations. But the fact of the matter is they made the decision to move on from Ullmark and say Swayman is our guy prior to having Swayman locked up. So ultimately it's the Bruins' fault. Yeah. They backed themselves into this corner by making that decision and going about it how they have. So, yes, maybe they didn't expect for Swayman and his agent to play hardball this late into the game. Right. But again, they're the ones that put themselves into that situation.
Yeah, and also a year ago when they filed for arbitration for Swayman, they elected to do arbitration for 1 year, and they could have done 2 years. He could be the starting goaltender right now at an absolute steal of a salary. So yeah, to your point, Sweeney put himself in this position. But Shawnee, what did you make of it when Cam Neely came out and said that? It was just kind of, whoa.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, I'll say, because Cam Neely should see it from both sides. He was a player, so he's been in like negotiations before, and now he's a front office executive using the media to push his narrative. If I were any potential Boston Bruin free agent, I wouldn't like how this is playing out. You don't air your dirty laundry in the media. You don't do it. Like, if you want to leak it to like your favorite reporter at the Boston Globe or something, an anonymous source said this, fine. But you don't come on a press conference and say it like so everybody can see.
I mean, do you think it was frustration, or do you think there was any method behind that? I guess that's where I'm at. I'm kind of conspiracy theorist. Well, I mean, so Swayman's agent, Louis Gross, comes out and just says that's the first we've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
That has never been communicated to us. At the same time, is there a real possibility that it has been communicated and Gross did not tell his client about that while trying to negotiate for a better deal? And that's Neely's way of calling them out. I don't know. I'm just trying to find a reason behind that. Or is that Seabass asking for 4 Boilermakers? You know, I mean, we don't know.
Could be. And piggybacking on what Eric said, like they lost all their, like, Boston lost all their leverage. Like they had the leverage. They could have said, all right, Swayman, you're not going to take what we're going to do. We're going to deal you. And we're going to sign Ullmark. And they didn't. They dealt him. They painted themselves into a corner. And now they're getting pissed because the guy they thought they had a guarantee, we're going to give him whatever 6 for 6 or whatever the deal they were looking to give him, is balking at it. It was bad negotiating on their part. They gave up the upper hand, and now they're pissed that the person with the upper hand is using it against them.
Right. Do you think they actually did offer that much? I mean, Elliot Friedman reported today that there was an offer, that it wasn't $64 million as far as contract money, as far as base pay, but it was upwards of maybe 62.5, which again, if there are bonuses and incentives, maybe Cam Neely was talking about 64, but do you guys believe that offer actually did happen as reported?
I mean, I don't think there's any reason to think it didn't.
Yeah. Why would Neely, if Neely didn't offer that, like that would be the starting point if I was Gross. Like, all right, you mentioned it. We want 64, 8 for 64 right now.
Right.
Like
Gross's denial is just saying that actually wasn't the figure. I don't know. This is weird. I think the one thing I keep coming back to right now is, I mean, how many conversations, as I wonder, is Swayman involved with management by himself, and is Gross just in the picture? There are tons of rumblings. You've seen this reported. Obviously, we weren't in the room. We don't know for sure. But when Nylander was negotiating his contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs and with Kyle Dubas at the time, Louis Gross was his agent, and Nylander was so fed up of waiting around that he actually called Dubas himself and agreed in principle. So he kind of almost did it without his agent. Now, I don't know if I believe that or not. I mean, that's kind of floating out there. But what happens now? Where do they go from here, Eric?
Well, to that point, that kind of reminds me of the Jonathan Marchessault situation this summer, where his agent and the Golden Knights were trying to work something out, and he wasn't hearing anything. So I forget who was with, but I saw an interview where they were talking about the contract situation with Marchessault, and he just said, well, I wasn't hearing anything, so I just picked up the phone and called the GM myself and said, what's going on here? So, yeah, that's entirely possible. But, yeah, I mean, where do you go from here? I mean, if I'm Swayman in his camp, why should you budge at this point, given, how Neely just acted yesterday? That situation kind of, in my, like, if I'm Swayman in his camp, almost gives, puts the ball even more in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of like, well, now he's making a fool of himself, so why am I going to bend to appease this guy now?
Yeah. I don't know. I think radically, and this is probably irrational, but I would love, if Jeremy Swayman really wants to look good and make this work in Boston, throw your agent under the bus, sign for 8 for 8, and just say, hey, my agent, was kind of screwing me here, and then fire your agent. And then you're a hero immediately in your hometown, and then you're back to playing hockey, and everybody loves you again. But I don't know. I mean,
and what is he? 25? He's 25, right? 28.
I mean, he's young. He's very young.
So even if he signs for 8, he still theoretically has another shot at a payday.
Yeah.
Right? Because Carey Price got 8 for 8 at 30 years old.
Yeah.
And that was 6 years ago. So, and Neely, like you said, Neely's backed into a corner. They're not going to roll into the season with Korpisalo as their goalie.
Well, they are and they're not. I mean, he's a restricted free agent. They still hold a lot of the cards in terms of, will Swayman demand a trade in the next couple of days? It's very possible.
But to your point, that they don't have to move him.
Right.
They don't have to do anything.
Well, you're sitting then.
Right.
Yeah.
On the flip side, too, and another thing, I guess, some incentive if I'm Swayman, and, I know he's been skating and stuff this summer, but, say that he signs next Monday, October 7th, season starts, I don't know what for the Bruins, but the regular season as a whole starts on the 8th.
Yeah.
Do you want to just immediately jump into a regular season game?
No.
Like, you're probably going to need to get your timing back a little bit with some actual practices and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's, somewhat of a consideration if I'm Swayman saying, yeah, I want to get my money, but at the same time, like, I still want to be performing well.
Right.
So, it's something to think about. But
Is there
love sitting out at all.
Right.
Is there any room for like a bridge deal in this situation now? Or is that
Boston has a history of these hometown bridge deals that they did with McAvoy and they did it with Pasternak. And so I think everyone just anticipated
that Swayman would do it.
And I'm sorry, Jeremy Swayman, but Pasternak and McAvoy did it. And I think their resumes were a lot better when they did. I mean, if Jeremy Swayman was offered 8 for 8, if that is in fact true, and his agent is not telling the truth and he's not telling the truth, 8 for 8 for his resume is absurd that he's asking for more. I mean, I'm not a big fan of paying goalies in general, but I mean, the goalies that are making north of that are Vezina Trophy winners, bona fide number ones, Stanley Cup winners. And
there's nothing saying he can't get to that level. He just hasn't done it yet.
No, he's damn good. I mean, he was the story of the early rounds of the playoffs last year. But that's it. That's his resume. That's it.
Yeah, the most games he's played in a season is 44.
Right. I mean, I just, it's crazy that it's gotten to this point. And I don't know. I mean, if they trade him, where's a destination for Swayman? Someone would love to have him.
Saw something today saying Utah would be a good fit for him.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be great.
I don't want him there. I don't want the Blackhawks dealing with him, but having to play against him. But that would be a good fit. I don't know. Some people were throwing out Detroit every now and then, but Detroit just dished out a bunch of big contracts. I don't know.
Well, they're hurting for goalies. They don't have any goalies signed or anything.
Yeah, but if I'm Boston, I'm saying you do that, you're giving us Trey Augustine plus.
Yeah.
So because they certainly. They are really struggling for goalies. Anyway, crazy time in Boston, and so interesting. So those of you that are following the NHL, hold on to your hats because this is probably the most burning issue of the preseason thus far. Second most burning, I guess you could say, other than beloved AJ. Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine actually got. Everyone has heard over the weekend. He was involved in a collision, or I'll just go ahead and say it, in a leg check from Cedric Pare from Toronto and is out. Now, the good news is Patrick Laine received a medical report today. They didn't tear anything. He just sprained his knee. So he might only be out 3 months, which is huge, not just for the Montreal Canadiens, but just for his overall health. And, those leg checks can be nasty. So if you were watching and Ray was watching, and Ray is now here with us, he missed the Swayman part. Bummer, Ray, but welcome back.
People will come, Ray. People will come.
But here's the deal. So what happens is Patrick Laine gets leg checked. He goes down. It's a big issue. A couple shifts later, Arber Xhekaj chases Perry around. Everyone says he Bertuzzi'd him, which I don't know if you all remember the very unfortunate incident with Todd Bertuzzi and Moore. What was Moore's first name? Steve?
Yeah, where he jumped on his back and punched.
He jumped on his back and swung from behind with his glove on, and ending his career, essentially. Yep. So Arber Xhekaj goes nuts, chases Pare around. Pare does not engage he's kind of trying to skate away from him, get away from him. So Arbor Jacai nails him. He goes down to the ice. Arbor Jacai gets fined and is all of a sudden villainized. Now, what Arbor Jacai did was wrong, and he should get the book thrown at him. You shouldn't do that. At the same time, there's no repercussions whatsoever for Cedric Pare for what he did. And there's all these people out there being, it was unintentional, it wasn't an intentional leg check. Who cares? It doesn't matter. If you are beat by someone and you stick your leg out and you go leg to leg with them, that is one of the most dangerous plays in hockey at any level, and strongly discouraged. No punishment for him. Ray, what do you think of this whole situation?
I liken it to, he gets suspended for boarding. He gets suspended for certain things. I think, when and the game's played at such a breakneck speed, right? Where there things are going to happen, injuries are going to happen, but for me, there's that intent there. There's something that's going on, and when there is an injury, there has to be something that. Again, like I said, if you're going knee to knee, we know, like you said, that's almost as bad as, boarding somebody sometimes, when they catch themselves. So, and I'm also not old school because sometimes that can get a little silly, but, you do something stupid, you got to answer the bell, as well. So, but for me, again, it's tough because you're going to have a lot of bang stuff. But also, when you're sticking that knee out, whether you want to hurt that person or not, that's still a bad look.
Yeah, I think that's where I get a little frustrated. Is intentional or not, it did happen. The hit on Connor Bedard last year, no intent to injure there. But I think what bothered me is that when Arbor Jacai was trying to engage in a fight, is that Cedric Pare, I'm sorry, but in today's NHL, if you take out a superstar and you injure them, you got to go. Mm-hmm. Like if he's not going to do it now, he's going to have to do it down the line.
Right.
So I don't know. Shawnee, what do you think?
I think it being a preseason game also gives it more weight because it wasn't like it's a preseason game. Why is he sticking his leg out to hurt somebody during a preseason game? I don't understand that. It's ridiculous to me. I think, like Ray said, there should be some punishment for it. And like you said, Andy, I'm going to butcher his name. Jacai, I think is what you said.
Arbor Jacai.
Arbor Jacai is going to have to pay for this in some way, shape, or form. Like he's gonna either that or he's gonna get boarded or checked or hit or the bell's gonna come due. Like the bill's gonna come due for him during the season. So I think he should have been suspended or something of that nature. But the NHL just their penalties for hits and things like that is just baffling to me. I can't comprehend it right now. So
yeah, no, and Eric, is that you feel similarly with all this, or what are your thoughts on should there have been additional punishment for Cedric Pare here?
Yeah, and another thing too that kind of comes to my mind is like Cedric Pare is probably not even an NHL player.
Right.
It's not like this is, a guy who's a third line lock on the Leafs. This is a guy that's going to be in the AHL.
Yeah.
So that kind of further adds to, it's a preseason game. It's this guy that's not even going to be an NHLer. He's taken out one of the Canadians' top players and so on. And then kind of with that too, I don't know if you guys saw the post-game interview with him, but as he was getting asked about it, he was kind of like smirking about it.
Really?
So it's like, that's a great look.
That's really bad.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, not a great situation. Given all of the context with that, yeah, maybe Xhekaj went a little bit overboard on just pummeling the crap out of him, but
he went berserk.
The idea of Xhekaj sticking up for him and saying, "Hey, you got to answer the bell," I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
Given the context of the whole situation.
Yeah, and there was the second player that night that they had lost. Reinbacher got hit, not a dirty play. Reinbacher took a hit and he exited, and he's out for a few months now.
He's out 5 to 6 months. He had surgery today.
Yeah.
So no one knows if he, was going to make the opening night roster. He's still really young, 2023 first round pick. for Montreal. But I mean, still a very promising prospect in career. You hate to see that happen. So I don't know. The blood may have been boiling a little bit earlier when Laine got hurt, but
that's a good point too. Kind of, I mean, that's the sad thing about the Laine situation is, even just for him personally, it's like he really needed something to kind of go right for himself and get his career back on track.
Right.
And it seemed like Montreal was going to be a good fit. He was enjoying the team and everything there, and then that happens, and that's a bummer.
Yeah, that was really bad. I don't know. Oh, go ahead, Sean.
And apparently Kirby Doc just went to the locker room 36 minutes ago.
Are you serious?
What took so long?
No. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I just saw somebody posted it on YouTube, so I'll have to fact check myself, but pretty sure Kirby Doc just got hurt too for them.
Oh man, that's just
that's a guy that can't catch a break.
That poor kid. No, I hear you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Need to go the NFL route and play less preseason games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's something. I mean, Eric and I were just talking before we got on the show. I hate that Connor Bedard and some of the other guys are in the lineup tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want to, just at the rate that things are going, you don't want to see anything happen. I mean, obviously, guys like Lucas Reichel should be in the lineup, and other guys that really need to showcase some stuff.
Artemi Panarin got hurt tonight.
Artemi Panarin got hurt tonight too. Wow.
Doc, by the way, Doc's hit was blatantly dirty, and yeah, he hit him up high. It was under review.
Who hit him? Who hit him?
Greig. I don't know. I'm not going to pronounce that.
Ridley Greig.
Yep.
Ottawa.
Ridley Greig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, does he have a history?
He liked to play physical in juniors. That's for sure. He wasn't afraid to throw his weight around.
Yeah. So, folks, those of you that have a soft spot for Kirby Doc that are Blackhawks fans, and I'm one of them. It sounds like he has exited the game. As Eric just said, talk about a kid who can't catch a break. Kirby Doc, who we've documented for a long time, was thrust into a really bad situation in Chicago. And so now, was hoping for a fresh start in Montreal. So Montreal might not be the best place for a fresh start right now.
It looks like he might be back on the ice, though, Kirby Doc.
All right, good.
Oh, that's good.
Good to see it. But to your point, Laine, Eric, you mentioned, he went to Montreal, was really trying to revive his career and catch a break. And I don't know if any of you saw the Martin St. Louis interview from yesterday morning when they asked about it. And he just said the number one thing we were focused on with him was for him to be happy coming to the rink. And we started to see that. And, how excited they all were. And then down he goes, for a guy that, was about to be beat on the ice by a superior talent and decided to stick his leg out, which is really unfortunate. Let's talk should we talk some Hawks? Let's get some Hawks stuff going here. What do we think? What's going on? So, Eric.
Aggravate everyone.
Let's go. I would love to hear from Eric and Ray on, some of they've certainly had a lot to write about over Twitter about our buddy AJ. So on the ticker right now, see AJ Spellacy. Or Spellacy? I don't know. Something like that. Hawk prospect playing tonight, 3rd round pick this year, football player, now full-time hockey player for the first time. Has made a lot. Has had a great camp. Had a great camp. Seems like an awesome kid. Everybody loves him. We'll probably be heading back to the OHL tomorrow morning, maybe that early, after tonight's game. Let's clear the air a little bit with the rink and how we're feeling about this. Eric, I'll give you the floor.
Why, thank you. So,
Great,
yeah, I mean, again, my viewpoint on this, as is the case with all prospects, you have to be objective, you have to be patient. Now, for whatever reason, there's a segment of the fan base that equates those two words with negativity and hating on the player and all those things. I don't know what thesaurus they're using because that's not the one that I think most people use. Those are not the same thing. He has a lot of very intriguing traits, which that's great. Every prospect who is drafted in the NHL has intriguing traits. That's why they are drafted. They need to develop those traits and the other areas of their game to become the players that they hope they can become. And AJ Spellacy is no different. Obviously, the size is great. The athleticism is great. The speed is awesome. He has looked good in camp. I think everybody can agree with that. He's been working his tail off. That's great. But I just don't understand why we need to immediately jump to, oh, he's the next Brandon Saad. Oh, he's the next, he's going to be great. He's a steal 3 months after being drafted.
Yeah. And he might be. He might be one day.
Right, but you have to actually become that player to become a steal.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing. I mean, it's yes, he has intriguing traits. He's looked good. That all of that is great. But let's let it play out here. Let's see what happens. He's not a finished product, not even remotely close to it. And that's okay because pretty much no drafted player is. I mean, even Artem Levshinov is not NHL ready right now. Even if he was healthy, he's not NHL ready. He was the second overall pick.
Yeah.
It's okay. So that's the whole point for me is, just remain objective, be able to, yep, there's some good things here. There's things he needs to work on. He's not ready yet. That's okay.
Yeah. See,
no big deal.
Folks, Eric's human. His heart is in the right place.
I want him to work out. I'd love if he becomes the next Brandon Saad. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I have some thoughts on it too. But Ray, what say you? Because this has been a fun one over the last.
Yeah, Eric, I don't know. Why do you hate the Blackhawks so much? The thing that I like to see the next generation, right on giving them a little extra. There's a lot to get in the same as the CHL, sending guys back to the juniors, and again, when somebody like AJ that's been playing well, it's nice to see, and kind of see how he competes. He's not going to be playing that top, 2 lines right now as a youngster, but can he do stuff? Is looking to do right now. And then when you head back next year, he's got a taste of kind of what to expect, right? And that's that play development we said that they didn't do with the old regime, Right.
So I think
they were handed pocket aces and kind of went with it.
Yeah.
They had 2-7 offsuit, and they're trying to figure out, hey, help us be better. Is he going to help us be better? And for me, that's that player development side, giving him a taste of what professional is all about.
Yeah. So not sure if you caught all of that, folks, because either Ray is ordering through a drive-through window, is making popcorn in the back, or is having technical difficulties. It's one of those three.
He borrowed
we've actually been known for technical difficulties lately.
Yeah,
he's basically what Ray's getting at right now is seizing that opportunity and having, giving him a taste of this, which is, and I agree with that. I think another thing to think about too is that the psychosis right now of the Blackhawk fan is there's not going to be a surprise player this year. There's not going to be like a surprise make. It doesn't seem like. So maybe that's why, the latching onto this as the story is something that's really fun for people. He seems like a great kid. He seems like he really wants it. He certainly plays hard, and let's keep an eye on it. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any surprises out of camp that are going to actually make the roster. Those that have been sent down already, the Del Mastros of the world and so on and so forth. I mean, those were expected. There's still players in the prospect system, that are in NCAA hockey that we're not able to see right now. The Oliver Moores and the Sammy Rinzels and guys like that, and Green and O'Brien. And all those guys, or Green.
Yeah, Ryan Green.
Ryan O'Brien. That would have been a great name. Yeah. Anyway, has anyone impressed you? Let's throw it out there, Shawnee. Has anything about the preseason impressed you with any one player? Any combinations you're looking for? I mean, this is only Bedard's second preseason game. It looks like he's playing with Kurashev and Bertuzzi tonight. Thoughts on it?
Camesso gets the whole game tonight, so I'm excited to see that.
That'll
be a good thing to see. That's really the thing, because everybody's kind of is just talking about Spellacy. I thought Lardis looked pretty good. He showed some poise. What Powers and others have written is he's probably the one true sniper they have in their system, in terms of just that's like his best skill is being able to line it up from the dot and fire away. So I was excited, or I was really excited for him. Ludinsky was okay during his limited run in camp. So
Ludwinski,
yeah,
he's pretty good.
But I think like you guys have said, like the majority of the roster, Davidson filled it with veterans, so young guys don't have to be forced into a position where they're not ready. Like, so they get to grow and develop in Rockford. So like your Frank Nazars, your Landon Slaggerts, all those guys are eventually going to go down to Rockford and develop down there. And then I still think Oliver Moore is probably the most exciting guy who's going to be in his second year at the University of Minnesota. And so I'm excited to see them kind of kick off. That's the prospect I'm really looking forward to. But
well, I think there's something also like the same reasons that like Nazar is not wowed in camp.
Nope.
And it seems like he struggled a little bit, but the same reasons why you should not have anxiety over that are the same reasons that Eric and others are saying don't get worked up over AJ. You know, let's let this marinate. Let's check it out. I mean, you don't hear anyone saying get Nazar out of here, and you shouldn't. But it's also saying let's not celebrate a player now that we don't know too much about. So, you know, I think that's the take. So Nazar's headed down. There's a few other guys in the lineup tonight. You know, I think most of the players, other than Spelasi or Spellacy. Is it Spelasi or Spellacy? Someone correct me.
I think it's Spellacy. I heard Troy saying that on the broadcast.
Okay, good. Well, keep saying Spelasi, Sean, because then I'll know how to say it right.
Okay, Spelasi. Got it.
Going. But other than that, I mean, everyone in the lineup tonight, they're probably going to be, you know, going to be mainstays at least to start the season, except maybe Kevin Korchinski. Have there been any rumblings? Are they going to put Korchinski down? I know that was a hot topic of ours a week ago. Is Korchinski going to start in the AHL? What do y'all think, Ray? Do you think he starts there, or how's that mic working?
Yeah, is this better?
Sounds great. It was the earbuds.
Beautiful. I think he does start. I don't think he should. You know, from a development standpoint, and it's not a talent standpoint. It's completely development. You know, be able to say, hey, you know, get some big minutes early. If an injury happens, that defense is going to be thin. You know, for me again, I'm not too high on Phillips, not too high on some of these guys. But if Del Mastro, comes up, if Korchinski comes back up, get used to playing, next to each other as well. Again, making mistakes in Rockford, nobody knows. Stuff along those lines.
Right.
So, but do I think if I was a betting man, I would say he's going to start in the NHL.
Yeah. Well, and then Kaiser's still out.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too.
Which is interesting. Where you see Crevier though and Isaac Phillips in the lineup right now, it still could mean Korchinski and Rockford, even with Kaiser out, and seeing those guys in just for Korchinski development. But that'll be interesting. I don't know.
Throw in Brody and Martinez too. I mean, that's where I think that
they're not playing
last year. They were just so they didn't have the depth. They were running a bunch of young kids, and that's where I think. Again, does he start here? Probably, but he probably should be in Rockford just because of that depth that they have a little bit.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Overpay vets to buy time for the young guys. I mean,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah. That's all you can really do. So, in the spirit of Korchinski, any other thoughts on preseason, guys? I might shift topics here, but anything else with the Hawks?
They're winning 1-0 in the preseason over Minnesota.
Jason
season rolling.
Yep. It's time. I mean, enough of this. Do you think preseason games are too many? Ray, I know you mentioned that kind of earlier, and we kind of said it in passing, but
I think they can be. Yeah. I mean, I think they can be. It's good because you're facing another team, but you think back to a long time ago when this was when they got ready. Guys aren't getting ready in August for September. They're getting ready right after the season. They're getting into the weight room. They've got their nutritionists. They've got their specialists. They have their doctors. They have their chiropractors. It's completely different than when, hey, we used to play, I got to get rolling. I'm coming off the tractor. I'm coming off the line, right? And I've got to get ready for the season, right? And that's what it was for. So I think in this day and age, man, just get rocking and rolling a couple and then go.
Yeah. So when my father was invited to Red Wings camp in the late 60s, Bruce the Moose Campbell as a goaltender, and he got a letter from Sid Abel. And the only requirement when you got there is you needed to complete 50 sit-ups and make sure you signed up for the golf outing. And it's literally documented. I have the letter. Yeah. So times have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
That sounds like a hell of a training camp. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would definitely.
I don't know if I could make that.
Yeah. Sure you can. Sure you could. Yeah. That'd be fun. And
the sit-ups in the golf tournament aren't on the same day. I might have to call and
well, yeah. I mean, that would be the deal breaker, wouldn't it? You know, I mean, you might not be able to do both if that's the case. But to your point, I mean, like, I don't. They should not have one last preseason game on Saturday before the Tuesday opener. I don't think that should happen. I mean, tonight should be the last one. I mean, they should have a full week, before that game. And I obviously don't. I assume that in that game, they will not play very many regulars. This has to be it for Bedard, has to be it for a few others tonight, but I don't know. Who knows? What do I know? Cool. Any other preseason takes before moving on to one other topic? Cool. So one thing I want to talk about is, and we've kind of hinted at this, but and Ray, I'm actually really glad you're here for this one as a college hockey fan. But what's going on right now with the NCAA and the CHL? So Rick Westhead, and also this pertains to how to develop players, folks, and this is where we're going with this. Rick Westhead, journalist from Canada, reported, I think earlier today, that now there are multiple lawsuits against Hockey Canada, against CHL Hockey, that are claiming it's a violation of antitrust rules for not allowing players to pursue hockey after major juniors, meaning the Western Hockey League, Ontario Hockey League, to play NCAA hockey after their careers are over there. And so this was bound to happen. I know that the Western Hockey League was thinking about was after this, a little while ago, and they were hoping that within 2 years it'd be cleared with the NCAA. That said, ASU committed a player about a month ago, or on September 13th, Brayton Whitehead, who plays Canadian junior hockey, is 20 years old, and now it sounds like he's going to ASU as a 21-year-old next year, assuming that the rules are going to change. What does this mean from top to bottom if these rules change? And there's so many different angles we can take on it. Developmentally, though, what's the benefit? And I want to hear from Ray on this first, and then I want to go to Eric, because I know Eric's got a lot of thoughts on this too.
Oh boy, I mean, in this day and age where everybody's getting paid left and right, I don't see why this doesn't change with the NCAA. I think from a development standpoint, I mean, it only makes sense. If a kid wants to, he finishes up his career. Again, it's not the 1970s, not the 1980s. A guy finishes up his career, wants to head to NCAA. Why not let him play? They're getting paid to play, at that level now anyway. So I think from a development standpoint, we've had this argument on Twitter and with people that, it helps when you're getting into a really good weight room, when you're getting into really good trainers. You have some unbelievable coaches, at the NCAA level. So for me, I think, again, it's 2024. We got to let some of these older rules, laws, regulations kind of go by the wayside and make sure that we're doing what's best for the product, really, on the ice, to be honest.
Well, and I mean, and currently there's agreement right now with the CHL and the NHL that you can't sign 18-year-olds from Canadian Major Junior Hockey League and then have them play in the AHL. They can only play in the NHL for that inaugural season. So This is where it affected Kevin Korchinski. Kevin Korchinski was signed by the Blackhawks as an 18-year-old. He could play 9 games and then go back to his junior team, or he could stay for the full season and only play in the NHL. And it ended up really being tough on the kid, as we've said before. But now, if this is cleared up and there's an agreement with the CHL and the NCAA, after they drafted him, they could have been like, all right, now go play at BU for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what would that have done for him? It would have been awesome.
Absolutely. Look at Vlasic. Vlasic, it's not that same situation, but he had to work on his foot speed and he had to develop. He had to grow into that giraffe frame. And that's what you do. You go to college and you develop.
Well, we've talked a lot about Shane Wright I mean, Shane Wright's initiation to NHL hockey was brutal for him.
Mhm.
You can think about a guy like Kirby Doc, even a few years ago. I mean, and that was Stan just trying so desperately to hold on to his job. But, Kirby Doc could have gone and go play for Michigan for 2 years,
Mhm.
and then come up. So I think that, like you said, the benefits are huge. I mean, the trickle down effect it's a bigger pool. I talked to Leon Hayward from St. Thomas about it, and he goes, well, you just have a bigger pool to choose from now, where it's not just the USHL. Where now, I mean, you'll still get kids that you'll get more kids actually that age out of juniors, and college hockey could actually get older. Which is fascinating, because right now college hockey is at a crossroads, not necessarily at the Division I level, but the Division III level, where you have, a lot of players on those teams are upwards of 23 to 25 years old because they age out of juniors and they go play D3. Like Trinity College last year and Hobart were in the national championship last year in Division III, and they had a lot of 23 to 25-year-old guys. So anyway, I'm talking way too much. Eric, do you have any thoughts on this and what it means for development of players, the NHL in general? You see this as a good thing? You with Ray on this whole take?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, just as far as the kind of the politics behind it and stuff, I don't know a whole lot about all that and don't really care all that much. But just looking at it from the player development standpoint, like we've been talking about, it's only a good thing for the players. I mean, we talk about Korchinski and Doc and Shane Wright and those types of players. If you are clearly not ready to be a full-time NHLer, which most 18-year-olds are not, most 19-year-olds are not, it's the fact that there is no in-between for those CHL players is what can be so destructive for those guys, because sure, Korchinski could have gone back to Seattle and put up 10,000 points. What does that accomplish? Nothing. Whereas he was able to go to BU or wherever, and he is playing against guys who are 22, 23. Not only is he, kind of playing at, a little bit higher of a level, but he's also getting probably a little bit more of that NHL style in terms of the physicality and the size and stuff. Whereas if you're still playing back in juniors and you're playing 17 to 19-year-olds, you're not going to get as much of that. So, it's definitely, in my mind, like it should definitely be an option for those players.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is that there's a part of me that kind of understands the CHL, NHL/AHL agreement, because you don't want your league, the quality of your league, diminished for 18-year-old kids just bolting to sign pro contracts when they're not going to be playing in the NHL. I guess you can make that argument, but will they be going now NCAA for NLIs? Maybe eventually. I don't know if NLIs have really caught up as much with NCAA. What's that?
NIL.
Sorry, NIL. Sorry, name, image, and likeness. A bizarre term for pay to play.
Yep.
Doesn't really make any sense. But I don't really think that it hasn't caught on as much in college hockey. Certainly not as much as in football and basketball. But I don't think it would diminish the quality of play in the CHL, because you would still have guys max out and age out. Like you still have guys stay in the league and stay at home in Canada until they're 20 or 21. And since there's no age requirements in the NCAA, then go and either try to turn pro a couple years later or go get a degree. I still think you'll see the best 18, 19-year-olds going to programs like North Dakota, Boston College, Boston University, Michigan State. But I mean, there's a lot of those, NCAA hockey programs that are surviving based on older players that they're getting out of American junior leagues or out of the BCHL in British Columbia. So I do think that it might make college hockey a little bit older, and it's pretty much an old sport as is. But as you said, there's tons of benefits around it.
One thing kind of interesting that I saw on Twitter a few minutes ago, back to the NIL thing, saw a picture someone tweeted out from the North Dakota fan store.
Yeah, I saw that.
Where they had customized jerseys of some of the players. Like
that's awesome.
EJ Emery jersey and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can get customized jerseys part of the NIL. That's pretty cool.
I hope so. I want to go down to a BU game and get a green jersey. That'd be sweet.
And Andy, like you were saying, like it doesn't hurt either league.
No.
Like it if anything, like if you're one of the best players, like Chris Pronger years and years ago had the choice to go play either major juniors or go to college. He chose major juniors. I think most of the best players in the States or in Canada, they have the choice. It's probably going to still be more towards major juniors. But now it gives these middle tier guys to go to programs like I saw Notre Dame play Alabama Huntsville in hockey at Notre Dame, and every guy on Alabama Huntsville was from a province in Canada. Every one of them. Yeah. So, like, it gives programs like that a bigger pool to get guys from, and maybe they're more competitive in college hockey.
Right. It's going to help major juniors when kids know, I can go here for a couple of years. I can go play for the Ottawa 67s. And then if I'm a third liner, then I can sign with Lake Superior State as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
And go through it like that. So there's a lot of benefit to it. I like I said, the only red flags are the age thing. Which is
the age thing, and they're using college hockey as another form of minor league hockey.
Well, there's that. I just think there are a lot of junior hockey leagues in North America that don't have the cred of the USHL, that don't have the cred of the BCHL or major junior hockey leagues, that are literally pay-to-play leagues, convincing kids that they're going to commit to colleges, and a lot of times it just doesn't work out. So just another brilliant money-making scheme in amateur sports, which is really fun. Cool. As a season ticket holder, or a one-time season ticket holder, and again, I know Ray, sorry, I'm using you a lot tonight, buddy. But some sad news out of Blackhawk world, and Ray, thank you for Eric, thank you for reminding me to bring it up. But longtime trainer Lou Varga passed away today, and I think if you grew up in Chicago and you watched the Hawks in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, it was Lou Varga and Skip Thayer, which were the two trainers that were often on the ice whenever Dirk Graham or Stu Grimson or any Dan Vincelette or Everett Santapass went down bleeding. You'd see someone with a great set of hair and an awesome Blackhawk starter jacket running out on the ice with a towel, getting ready to help out. So Lou Varga passed away today. That was tweeted. So any of you Blackhawk fans that have been following the team for a long time, condolences to him and his family. Ray, do you have any Lou Varga memories? Your family's been season ticket holders for a long time.
Oh boy, not memories, but I mean, it is that, right? It's the history, that kind of gets you. For me, again, that it's not somebody that. Right, we're always talking about the on-ice product. We're always talking about the people in the general managers, but Lou's a big part of it, right? And the team knows that, right? The players know that. The organization knows that. Back in the day, it's a picture and a media guide, but those are the media guides you kind of go back and take a look at. So, but definitely sad news to hear.
Yeah, that's tough. Any of you else have any thoughts on Lou Varga and the passing of Lou Varga? Eric?
Yeah, my dad was actually the strength coach for the Blackhawks in the early 80s. So nice. he knew Lou and worked very closely with him, obviously, pretty much every day. So, yeah, I didn't think of talking to my dad today to see if he had any fun stories to share. I'm sure he does, but yeah.
That's awesome.
See, we got to pull one out of the closet. Let them know, hey, nothing too. We don't want a bad story, but let's get a funny story out of him.
I'm sure he has some. Absolutely.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick real quick, and yeah, condolences to the Vargas family. But I want to give a quick shout out to Nick Sumner and some of the Brooks hockey guys that are tuning in tonight, and getting a lot of text. Right now. I'm sure you're hearing a lot of pings. A lot of Sean Fitzgerald fans out there. Getting a lot of comments on you, Shawnee, which is great.
Really?
So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Bardo, that one kid graduated. Nelson graduated. Bardo's biggest fan.
Yeah.
But
big Bardo guy.
Maybe you'll get a following. Sorry, I'm beeping like crazy. I'm sure you can.
Hey, really fast.
I'm trying to turn it off. I don't know how.
Switching gears, Pierre LeBrun tweeted like 7 minutes ago that the NHL and the NHLPA have chatted about in serious talks to reduce the preseason to 4 games and add 2 games of the regular season. He just thought he'd tweet that out because everybody's complaining about the week-long preseason.
Well,
he must have heard us. They heard us.
They did, yeah.
Well, I'm sure the Montreal media is. Yeah, right.
And what was the guy's? Who's the guy who I can't pronounce his name? I apologize. Who tried to take out
Cedric Pare?
Yes. The Arbor
Jakai?
Yep, he got ejected from tonight's game for taking out Tim Stussel or Stussel.
Oh, really?
From Ottawa.
Buddy, what are you doing?
So,
that's not good.
No.
Yeah. Well,
and apparently, based on the Twitterverse, Bell, the new play-by-play guy for the Blackhawks, sounds exactly like John Weideman. So that's
great.
That could be a good thing. I don't know.
Bonus.
People seem to like him thus far. His first broadcast on TV. So
yeah, well, for those of you in Chicago that aren't able to watch the game tonight, you have something to look forward to. Those of you that are in blackout regions, Eric Andrews is 3 hours outside of Chicago, but is technically in the market, so cannot watch the Blackhawks game tonight on ESPN Plus. I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm out of market, so I can watch the Blackhawks game tonight. So this makes a lot of sense.
And Ray and I are going to be on our roofs later, strapping antennas up to try to, get the signal through the air. I'll be like Clark Griswold falling off the roof, trying to hang up his Christmas lights. So
is your house on fire, Clark?
It's like 1987 all over again.
Yeah.
God.
I'm gonna grab the transistor radio and probably listen to that again.
Oh man. Any final thoughts? Any
well, as an update to the game, shout out to Ben Pope with this tweet. Apparently it's now 1-1. He said bad turnover by Korchinski leads to a weird own goal by Reichel that ties at 1-1.
Oh God.
And then I think he said, didn't he say something to the effect of
that all
both
checks
guys
out.
we shouldn't be talking about negative plays about.
Oh man, these two.
He said those are not the two guys you want to see struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
No. Oh man.
Hey, Reichel could have benefited going to college.
Yeah,
clearly wasn't ready for the NHL.
No.
Still isn't.
No, but he has nothing left to prove at Rockford.
May never be. I don't know. Reichel's one. A change of scenery could help him. Well, maybe never, but who knows? Maybe time to move on from him if you can. We'll see. All right, sports fans. Well, thank you for joining us. Brooks fellas, thanks for listening tonight. And we'll be back at some point next week when the season begins. Hockey. The new and slightly improved Chicago Blackhawks will be fun to watch. So we'll be back with a lot of stuff. All right. On behalf of Spellacy Lover, Ray Napientek, and Sean Fitzgerald, thanks everybody for tuning in, and take care.